Had no idea until I left how badly it had affected so many different parts of my life. I cannot believe this is still a problem.
How did it make you feel?
Triggered. For me, it's all about the adventure, and like this year was my big thing. That I have like one thing a year, and I haven't got one for next year actually.
Oh.
But this year was to, hence the swimming, was to swim around the Scilly Isles, which is a 2-day, swimming over 2 days, 15-kilometre swim.
Amazing.
And that was my big thing of the year. So
good. Well, we're going to come up with one for you for next year.
Are you? Okay.
Which is optimizing your sleep.
I cannot believe this is still a problem. I was meant to be, when I was having my lovely snooze on the train, writing an article about sleep and BBC Breakfast and how it made me feel.
How interesting. And how did it make you feel?
Triggered.
Really?
Because, if we talk about sleep, and you can tell me in a minute what my sleep is like now, but my sleep, it was horrific.
I can't imagine.
There was nothing. I tried really hard, like all these strategies that I have, doing the exercise, doing the yoga, lots of different things that I do, were to really try and help myself being sleep deprived, essentially getting up at 3:46 in the morning, having 2 children, 2 dogs, a husband who I wanted to see.
Yes.
If I didn't want to see them, you can hear my voice rising already, can't you?
No.
I could have gone to bed at 7 o'clock at night, but I have a family. I couldn't do that. So I was constantly struggling with it. Had no idea until I left how badly it had affected so many different parts of my life.
Such as?
Including, I tried to eat healthily, but it's really difficult to eat healthily at that. And I did. I genuinely did, because I learned very early on, it sounds so silly, but to take my own overnight oats in every day.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I found that I would eat something like a croissant and then, at 6 a.m. and then by 9:15 need another meal. So I was eating another meal a day when I first started, which obviously is not great. What else? I used to nap during the day, have an hour and 45 minutes for my circadian rhythm sleep. But I was constantly jet lagged.
Wow.
And I didn't know how bad it was until I stopped doing it.
I can well imagine.
And I thought I'd recovered. So I think I had 2 years. I promise you, for 2 years, if I didn't have an alarm on, I would wake up at 9:15 in the morning. So having over 10 hours sleep a night.
Wow.
Which is a lot.
That really is. And
I reckon it took me 2 years to sort of get back to what I would call a normal sleep pattern, which would be, 8, maybe 7 or 8 hours, and actually waking up.
And that is something that, we don't want to go back and say, because the data isn't perfect, we're going to re-trigger, because you're probably markedly improved from where you were.
Way improved.
Markedly. And we have to always really judge sleep by how refreshed you feel upon waking.
Yeah, and for me, the feel upon waking was actually being able to wake up without an alarm. Like today, I did actually wake up. No, actually, did I? I sort of woke up without being woken up.
Oh, that's good. That's great. You took us very casually on this podcast. I hope I turned up for the energy equation. I'm just going to chance my arm.
It was the train that was late, not me. But I got up at 8 this morning.
Fantastic.
Tell me about it, because
let's look at it.
It was really bad, but there was nothing I could do about it.
No, and there's bits in here which are so good that you do not have an issue. We've got 6 days, of which there's some confounding factors as to why it's not perfect.
Yeah.
So the sleep score out of 100 on this one is 53.
What am I doing? I'm in bed.
You are. I'll go to why one of the nights isn't good, because it's not.
I know what it is. It's alcohol.
Well, you put it on.
I knew that.
You wrote it on your diary, which
I know.
makes you, an excellent guest.
I think I exaggerated. Actually, I think it was only 3 units, but it was still made a difference.
I think when you wear a monitor like this and you see what 1 unit does,
wow.
It's such a sensitivity from a sleep point of view.
I know this.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Was it worth it?
Was it worth it?
Whoever you were with might be listening.
No, it was definitely worth it. I can't tell you what I'd done, but I'd done something really exciting, and it was a celebration.
all we can say.
So it was definitely worth it.
And actually, look, what we got. When we look at your sleep on the graph,
it was champagne. Does that help?
It does.
Probably
it does
not
actually
really.
help. It's one of the purest forms of alcohol. So, which is why it's pricey. But the reality is,
one was bad. Yeah,
when you have the alcohol, and there's lots of excitement at the time you had the alcohol. So the monitor thought you were exercising. So again, I'll ask no further questions.
Funny.
But
I wasn't.
Yeah.
I'll tell you when we're not here what I was doing.
But this is great.
It's all above board and it would be on the telly, so it's fine.
Your great-grandparents got something from drinking water that you probably don't. Over the last century, we've made water safer to drink, on the whole, but something has been lost in the process. Natural water sources once provided essential minerals that our bodies evolved with over thousands of years. Today's water, even premium bottled at source water, contains 78% fewer minerals than it did just a century ago. In fact, you'd have to drink 1.5 bathtubs to replenish the minerals that you lose in a litre of sweat. So if you think your water is hydrating you optimally, think again. Pure Sport, a company that I personally trust and use, solves this problem for high performers through their ultra electrolytes, a science-backed ratio of electrolytes in one single sachet. Optimize your hydration and leave the bath for bathing. Use our exclusive discount code EE10 at www.puresport.co for 10% off. Your recovery is suppressed those first 2 hours.
Yeah.
Then you're into beautiful, rich recovery. And, when we look at this, do you go into good recovery? You do. Mm-hmm. You just have these sort of fragmented, that you're, if I had to sort of put that into layman's terms, you're keeping one eye on the world still a little bit.
It sort of doesn't surprise me, but how do I stop doing that?
I
don't go to sleep quickly either. I know that. It takes me ages to go to sleep.
So there's not, if we take this night as a normal night, you'll see that you haven't gone into huge recovery in the 2 hours before you go to bed. So your body isn't...
Before I go to bed.
So what we do before sets the tone for what happens when we're in. So have you ever committed into sort of that 90 minutes, 2 hours of ritualistic behaviour?
I do have ritualistic behaviour. So I will basically, what I do is, and it won't be 2 hours before, I will always have a bath before I go to bed, and I will always read a book.
Okay.
So I have probably 40 minutes.
That's great. That's exactly the sweet spot. It's that case of, how do I convince my brain that it needs to deal with nothing until tomorrow morning?
Yes.
And so, in that sort of scenario, you'd say, look, when we see people with young children, we see that pattern because they're listening. They're like,
I know there was one night there. I know exactly what happened. I should find out which night it was, where one of my daughters texted me at 11. I was asleep and texted me at 10 to midnight.
Okay, that's an absolute disaster.
I knew, and it will 100% be there.
And they sort of say, again...
Because she texted me, your children not texting you at 10 to midnight with something that's great, are they?
No, exactly right. And it's one where, if you believe that there's something you need to fix or solve or be available to, you have this sort of sense of, I'm slightly physiologically alert. Okay. I hear the key turn in the door. I hear someone pull into the drive. If you go to deep sleep, which is the richest form of energy restoration, you are oblivious to the world. And that's a risk. So your body can't allow that risk if it believes it's got to stay plugged in.
Do you know what? So that's parenting for you.
I agree.
And my children are 20 and 23. They're not even 0 and 3, and I'm still parenting in the middle of the night.